Let's go to this week's Executive Spotlight. Joe Tolzmann is founder and CEO of RocketPlan Technologies, a mobile-first platform that's transforming the $500 billion a year property restoration insurance claims industry. Having established the company just before the global pandemic ground the world to a halt, Joe forged ahead with conviction, confident he was building a product that resisted any hint of a recession. Now, just 3 years in, RocketPlan is experiencing explosive growth, dominating the industry with some of the world's largest players already on board.
Welcome to Office Hours. I'm David Meltzer, and we're here with the Executive Spotlight, and the light is shining on Joe Tolzmann. He is the CEO and founder of RocketPlan. Welcome to Office Hours.
Awesome to be here, David. Thanks for hosting.
You know, the space that you work in with RocketPlan, like most industries that have been around since the inception almost of our country, have so many varying ways to either make a lot of money and help a lot of people, or to take advantage of people and make a lot of money and hurt people. And you've created with RocketPlan a great way to protect and promote people in the insurance industry when bad things happen, which, if you want to make God laugh, come up with a well-developed plan. And that's why insurance was created in the first place. How did you get involved with insurance, and what mindset or meaning did you give insurance that motivated you to get involved?
So, property restoration, insurance claims, it's something that happens throughout, regardless of economy. It's a very, very active recession-proof industry. And when something happens, it creates a lot of stress for people involved. So a property owner didn't plan for it. Something happened, it's sudden, unexpected. And at that point, you get different stakeholders involved, from restoration contractors, insurance adjusters, owners, tenants, property managers, multiple parties. So it's very time-consuming to gather all the documentation that is required to report to insurance companies, and also keep everybody informed in the cycle of the claim. Traditionally, it's very inefficient because data comes from the field. When contractor responds to the loss, they got to capture the data on the go, document the damages, take photos, take notes, and there was no good solution to do that for the people in the field. That's why we focused to solve that problem, to enable people in the field gather all the data on their mobile device and have it available for all stakeholders in the process, to reduce that life cycle of the claim, make everybody more efficient, and get these people's lives back to normal sooner.
And you know, where we live makes a big difference. I tell people all the time that, you know, I love living in the United States because of the options, opportunities, and touches of favor. It's one of the few countries in the world where you can literally grow up in a shoebox with nothing, in a deserted sleeping bag by yourself as an orphan, and end up being not just wealthy, not just happy and healthy, but actually one of the wealthiest, if not the wealthiest person in the world, no matter where you're born. Now, you actually immigrated into another country where there's many opportunities, options, and touches of favor as well. Our friends to the north, Canada. Why did you choose to immigrate to Canada?
So in 2003, right after I got out of military in Croatia, I came to visit my parents in Vancouver, British Columbia, west coast of Canada. And I just loved that place. You know, it was challenging, couldn't speak the English. It was a typical immigrant story.
You don't have to speak English, you're from Canada, you speak Canadian.
Canadian, yeah.
What's that about?
Yeah, hey.
Exactly.
Yeah. So yeah, it was a exciting journey. It was challenging at times, not knowing the language, not having network, but going through the process of building up and establishing. It was challenging, but it was rewarding. So I worked at Dairy Queen for a while because I figured I need a job where I'm going to interact with people. So I got the job in November. The owner told me, I don't really need you. Nobody's buying ice cream. You know, it's November, but if you promise you're going to stay out throughout the summer, I'll hire you. And I was like, awesome. I get to practice English. I'm making $8 an hour. Life is good.
Yeah,
it was awesome. But there was some, you know, challenging, stressful situations. When I started at Dairy Queen, I worked in the back making burgers. And eventually, you know, I got promoted to work the till. Now, this one day, it was lineup just piling up because I couldn't take these orders. So I had to ask everybody to repeat. David, you wouldn't believe how ice cream and blizzards can get complicated.
Yeah, right.
People want extra fudge, no nuts, extra sprinklers, this, that. So it got to the point that I was so overwhelmed. I said, please put me back on a grill where all I have to worry about is cheese and pickles. But it was a good lesson. It helped me get to the point where I had enough confidence to go out and start doing my business and building up my career.
And there is very few countries where you can start by flipping burgers for $8 an hour, where you only have to concern yourself with pickles and lettuce or maybe some tomatoes, to a point where you're a huge success and you were able not only to start your own business, but also to scale the business. For you, what was your mindset coming from flipping burgers for $8 that your self-image said, you know what, someday I'll be a multimillionaire and have a huge business, to take what I call the biggest leap, 0 to 1, compared to 1 to 100 where you are today?
Knowing your story, inspiring story, I feel you can probably relate to this. Like, it's all about having a goal, starting from the ground up. You got to go through the process. You don't quite know what the process is going to be, but you get into it, you work it, and you hit different obstacles, you work around it. Number 1 was learn the language. 2, start doing some jobs to put something in portfolio, not even about the profit. It's just like, hey, I did this was good work to enable me to get more work and build up the network. We all know that to do something big, nobody can do it on their own. You need a good team. So I think it's important to focus on building the team, and foundation for it all is to be aligned. Core values need to be aligned, and then after that, it just work.
One of the other things that I think is reflective and personal to you is that English is your second language, or maybe third or fourth even.
Second-ish, third-ish.
Second-ish, yeah. And, a lot of people look at the success that I've had in business and they'll say, well, Dave, it's easy to you because one of the energetic and genetic inheritances that you have is not only is English your first language, but you're damn good at speaking, and that's a superpower. But yet, I will tell you, I know more people that are watched than listened to that are successful. As someone who has English as a second language, obviously had to take time to learn. You couldn't even take orders at the Foster Freeze or the Dairy Queen, I'm sorry. You've come a long way, but you're not hosting talk shows, with verbose vernacular and vocabulary and the ability to smooth people like Larry Nance or, Jim Nance, I'm sorry, in golf. That just, when he talks, I am warm all over. But how much do you balance your team watching you compared to you telling them and having to explain everything to them?
Everybody had to go through some challenges, whether it's learning the language or getting the skill, but it all comes down to doing it, gaining that experience, building it up. And it's not just talking, it's actually doing things together, hitting some problems, hitting some crisis, and then working together through it to save the day. And I think that's where everybody gains that experience. It's shared experience, makes the team stronger.
What about today? What excites you as far as what other people think your limitations are comparative to where you have your own self-image and are able to create and manifest what you want?
What really excites me is knowing that we solved the problem for the industry, that it was complacent when it comes to technology for a long period of time. Everybody in the industry suffers the same problem. So knowing how many people we're helping in a process when it comes to just from a business perspective, efficiency, profitability, but also employees' experience. Everybody who works in that industry, RocketPlan eliminates a lot of stress, a lot of confusion, and ultimately, these property owners were getting their lives back to normal quicker.
Which means so much.
It's rewarding.
Yeah, the value of that, and from someone who was blessed to have a great insurance company and put me back into the position because there's a lot of emotional stress during that time. It's not just economic, and the speed in which you can get back to normal has an exponential effect or impact on not just your life, your businesses and all the people that work for you, your children and all their friends, and the list went on and on and on, that I think a lot of people that aren't in the industry or haven't experienced or needed the type of service and the types of solutions that you have really don't appreciate or value what you do. And beyond being recession-proof, I think with climate change, it's more than recession-proof. It seems to be a growing industry as the winds pick up and the water and the snow finds itself in weird places where the construction wasn't ready for it. We'll find RocketPlan in place for all stakeholders to provide more value and to allow us to live not at dis-ease in these struggles, but at ease. Thank you so much, Joe, for everything you do. Check out RocketPlan, putting you at ease when we're at dis-ease. Thank you for joining us with the Executive Spotlight here on Office Hours.